What's up, everybody? This is Aircrete Harry, and today I want to go over a couple of designs that I've come up with for dome homes. So the first design you're going to see is what I came up for this property here that you're looking at. This property is on a hillside where the land is slanted, going down. You can see this is the view from this property, and it's in my opinion an absolutely beautiful view. So I'll show you a diagram of the property here. So what you were just seeing was basically from sitting on the roadside looking down the property. And so for this property, being how the land is sloping down like you see here, I came up with a design basically as a step platform. So my intention was to build 3 40-foot domes going down the side of this mountainside, down the side of this hill. And the idea was to make these platforms and have as little soil to level out as possible. So I didn't want to go ahead and level out, all of this soil to make a level ground, because it would have cost a lot of money to level all of this soil out. Say I wanted to level out from here to here, this would have been a lot of soil. This would have been 35 feet of soil, so it was a bit much. So my idea was to build these columns into the soil that would give it support. So you could see here it would basically stick out of the ground. So one end of the dome here would be on the mountain, and then these columns would go into the soil so that you could build a platform. So this was my original idea, and I could have my living space, my workshop. See, the idea was to build a U-ramp, right? Because soil needed to be brought in so that I can make a driveway. And the idea was have a driveway come down, have a arch-shaped garage, maybe one of those tin buildings, the metal roof buildings, and you can have the parking space. So what you see here is basically showing like a Ford F-150 pickup truck parking and backing into the garage here. And so I was just getting an idea of how much space there was, because with this area you needed to build your structure at least 20 feet from the roadside is where your structure started. So I was taking into account that 20 feet. Then I have a garage here. Then the idea was to have a workshop here for my CNC milling machine and my CNC laser machine, where I could create my artwork. Then here was a main house. And here was another open space dome to do whatever, maybe greenhouse or just another play area. And the dome was actually designed to be a 2-story dome for the main house here. Even the workshop would have been a 2-story dome, because this was a 40-foot design. And then I came up with the idea of having a tunnel that connects the 3 domes together, so that in winter time you didn't have to step out of the house to get to the next dome. You can do everything indoors. So this is basically the design here that I came up with. I decided I won't be building on this property for a number of reasons, but it's still an amazing property. Just so you can take another look, this is the view. I mean, absolutely beautiful. We fell in love with this view, my wife and I, and it's still beautiful. That's what you see back here. This is the city of Fort Collins there, and this is a huge reservoir, man-made reservoir that's there. And you can see they have boats and everything here. It's not the sharpest image, but from afar you can see it's really nice. And so anyway, this was the design that I came up with for that. So the property is about 60 to 65 feet wide on the roadside, and it was about 485 feet long. So I'm going to try and make a level here. This is pretty much exactly the level of the land, the slope that it has. And I think from the top, if I were to make a, let me see, I'll just do it real quick. I'll make a level line. Let's say from the roadside, I'll come straight out to the bottom, cut down, and if I measure this, it's 119 feet to the bottom of the property from the roadside. So that's kind of the slope you're dealing with. And well, regardless, I chose not to build here for a number of reasons. And actually this property's up for sale right now, and again, wow, it's absolutely beautiful. It's probably the last piece of property in this area that's available. So moving on from there, I came up with some other dome designs that I was interested in for the home. Now this is just to give you a rough idea of the layout. This doesn't include any doors or windows, and I was going a little crazy here with this design, but I was just messing around with different designs to see what I would like. And I chose not to go with this design because there's really no way to close. I didn't really think of closing off these domes, and having these hallways attached in the center of the dome really limited what you could do with the space, because you had to have this open area. You couldn't just, well, anyway, I didn't like this idea. I thought it was kind of cool, but I moved on from that. And then this was another design that I did. This is showing like these here would be like windows, and they wouldn't actually look exactly like this. They would have more of a spherical shape instead of coming down with these straight ends here. But this was just to get an idea of how the design could be. And anyway, these are all 2 windows per dome, and they all connect to this center ring. And anyway, actually this is exactly the design I was going to build on another piece of property in Colorado. And this is more of the final design layout that I came up with. And here you see I have a garage where 2 trucks could fit. This was a 30-foot dome. The idea was to make a 20-foot dome entryway where you'd walk into the home. This would be really the only door besides the garage door that would enter into the home. And you'd have like your mudroom and your closets, and everything would be in this 20-foot dome. And then from there it would connect to the main dome ring, which was basically a 122-foot diameter ring. that connected all of the other domes. So I like this idea better than this first one because I don't have these hallways going into the center of the dome. So that was the idea for this. So now these domes could either have a doorway here that separated the dome, or they would just be open to the hall. So you'd have a little hall area that goes into the dome. And so the idea for this property, which is the design I show in a previous video where I talk about having a workshop, the idea was to have, my supply room, have another room here dedicated to the solar power, and in other words, the battery bank and all the controlling system. And here is a room for a generator. And really, it's a bit overkill. Really, the generator room and solar room could have been in the same room, but again, this was the layout I was working on, and just having some fun with my design here. Then here would have been a workshop. And in soil testing, the reason it says that there is because I use this dome, this one up here, and this one here was where the soil tester drilled holes into the soil to test for percolation and if it was structural. Actually, this was the perk test for the septic tank and leach field up here. The soil testing here was to see if it was firm enough to build on. So then as we move on, the idea was to have an office, a library study, a storage room for, things, closet, giant walk-in closet, 20-foot dome walk-in closet, just fulfilling my lovely wife's need for a beautiful walk-in closet. Here was a 20-foot dome bathroom / laundry room. This would have been a 30-foot dome bedroom. This was a king-size bed, so you could kind of get an idea of the scale of it. This was my kitchen design. The idea was to have a countertop that went almost the entire circumference of the dome. And this, what you see here, the blue line would have represented a countertop. So talk about having a lot of kitchen space. And I was thinking, this would have been made out of cement. This would be way too expensive for me to be granite or something like that. Besides, you could do some real beautiful countertops with cement. And so that was the idea here for the kitchen. You can see the stove, sink here, and then this huge countertop. My wife and I are vegan, so this just makes for a nice large prep surface area for getting all your vegetables and things out. And then again, right across from the kitchen was a 20-foot pantry closet or pantry room, dome room. And that would hold a whole lot of food and be just well insulated. And then here, again, as mentioned, we're vegan. So this was a 30-foot greenhouse where we could grow our own food. And right here you see I designed the sliding door to enter into the courtyard, which would be a garden and just like another place to hang out. This was about 60 feet from this dome to this dome. Any of the domes are opposite of each other. It's a 60-foot span. And again, two smaller greenhouses. Maybe this greenhouse is all sprouts or something. And then another greenhouse here. So that was the basic idea, was to have 4 greenhouses, 2 30-footers and 2 20-footers. And supply room, and again, that's the entry. And this is the profile, the side or front view of the doorway openings. So this tunnel here that goes the entire circumference here, this diameter is 122 foot, was meant to be 9 feet tall and 9 feet wide. And then all of the connections between the 20-foot domes and the 30-foot domes had this same 9-foot wide, 9-foot tall openings. So a lot of them would have just been open to the hole. Some of them would have had a door here. And here you can see the windows. And here would have been the garage. This is a 30-foot diameter garage with a 20-foot opening, 9 feet tall. Yeah, I was thinking if I get some monster truck tires, I'd have to make this taller. I can maybe build a stem wall and heighten this dome up for, yeah, I like big trucks. And I cannot lie. Your old brother can't deny. All right. Anyway, so this is the, this was the design that I came up with. So, and that lot was a pretty big lot, 500 feet by 450 feet. And the design I did here was dead center of the lot. But later I changed my mind and said, hey, you know what, it'd be better if I move this over so that maybe in the future I'd do another one for a business, like a meditation workshop and float tank rooms. I'm really like the idea of these float tank rooms. And anyway, I have this whole design for something else. But what I learned is the area I wanted to build here was not the most comfortable because of the height. The altitude of this land was 9,200 feet. So yeah, just walking around was hard to breathe. So the idea was, you know, because of the cost, the land was inexpensive, but it's not the most ideal. So we've changed our minds. We're not going to be building on this lot either. But this was the design that I came up for that lot. And let's see. Another thing I want to share with everyone is my egg shape design. So for whatever property I build, or even any property you might be interested in building in, I had an idea for a water storage tank slash septic tank, which was in the shape of an egg. So I came up with this egg shape here that's 8 foot in diameter at its widest point and 11 feet tall from the tip of the egg to the top, from the tip top. And basically the idea I had was for making underground water tanks out of concrete. Concrete or Aircrete. If it were Aircrete, it would just be a very dense Aircrete mix, you know, not adding a lot of foam to your cement slurry. So that you had a very solid tank. So you didn't have to worry about any leaking from the tank. And so basically I had an air form made in the shape of an egg, this design here. And this is the inflation tube. You fill it with air. And the idea would be to wrap this egg shape in basalt mesh and then wrap basalt rope around that mesh. And then once the egg air form were wrapped, you would have a hole dug already, probably 2 feet larger than the air form, or maybe like 1.5 feet larger, so that you had, you know, like 8-inch thick walls or something like that. And then once your hole were dug, this line here represents the soil. So once this yellow part were dug out, you would place your air form in the shape of an egg in that hole, and then you'd fill with either Aircrete or just regular concrete all around the egg. Once that cured, you just remove the air form and you'd have this egg shape tank for storing water. And this would store, I guess, approximately, 4,000 gallons, maybe a little more than 4,000 gallons. I didn't really do the exact calculation, but you can get an idea if you wanted to do your own calculations. These lines represent a foot in between each, and this is the size of each of these marks here. And so anyway, it's approximately 4,000 gallon tank. And now the idea behind it is this egg shape will cause a natural circulation of the water. Again, this was for water storage or even a septic tank, but for water storage, you would have a temperature difference between your wall, your concrete wall on, around the egg, opposed to the center. So that temperature difference would cause the water to circulate. And let's see, where's my tool? I don't use this pencil tool much. Never mind. Is it here? Anyway, it would circulate, so you wouldn't get water that stagnates. The other idea I had was to put a small lily impeller design at the bottom here that requires very little electric, and that would spin and create a vortex in the water, and that would keep it moving. That would also keep it from freezing. But being in the ground like this automatically keeps it from freezing, because your frost line, especially in Colorado, is about 36 to 40 inches. And let me see where, let's just do 40 inches. Yeah, this would have been 40 inches there, and then you're gonna have a normal temperature of around 50 something degrees. And so anyway, your water wouldn't freeze, and it would be constantly circulating because of this design. So anyway, this is my egg shape water tank. I do have this airfoam to create this. If you look at my one of my videos where I talk about the building supplies, I actually don't mention this egg shape, but it's in those airfoams in my video. So anyway, this was something I came up with, and obviously you could build multiple tanks around your property for water storage. You could, for example, just have a pipe. Got snaps on. You could have a pipe, for example, to overflow from one tank into the next. And anyway, I think it's a really good idea in the way I designed this, and the simplicity of building a underground water tank. And to be quite honest, the same airform could be used to make an above ground tank. I would just flip it on its axis and have the pointy top up, obviously having a wider base if it's above ground. And the water tank could be made in this way too, where you just again wrap it in basalt mesh or even basalt rebar. But the idea is really basalt mesh, because it would be a little less money, and it would still be very strong. And then you cover that in ferro cement, which is regular cement. You just cover this in cement, let that cure, and you'd have your above ground water tank. But again, the original idea is to have an underground tank. Moving on to another design that I came up with. This design is for a dome home in Puerto Rico. So this original design I came up with for Puerto Rico, but obviously it's good for anywhere. But when Puerto Rico was hit by the storm, there were a lot of areas flooded with up to 10 feet of water. So having that in mind, what I came up with was a dome. It's basically a spherical dome. You can see it's only how many feet is it's about 6 feet of the sphere that doesn't exist. That would be, if you were to continue the circular shape, about 6 feet would be in the ground. And I think this is really an aesthetically pleasing design, opposed to having these walls come straight down like so. If I built it where these walls came down, it would basically look something like that, where the walls are straight, which is still fine. But for aesthetics, I like this design a little better. And anyway, so what I designed here was a 32-foot diameter dome. So at its widest point on the interior walls was 32 feet. The idea was to build it using 3 inches of structural layer cement and then have 9 inches of aircrete. And you'd have a well insulated area for the Caribbean. The opening here is a garage. Let me remove some of these measurements. So actually I'll leave this here. The garage door opening is 10 feet tall and it's 10 feet wide at the base. It's actually wider at the midpoint. It's 12.5 feet wide at the widest point. But what matters is, there's enough space to drive your vehicle in. And, not only would you drive your vehicle in, but you still have plenty of space for storage or even like a hammock in there. And, this could be a hangout spot. You can have more than one opening. You can have an opening on all 4 sides if you wanted, or even just one side. And then the idea was either on the inside or the outside, it'd be a staircase that goes up to the second floor. And the second floor, the design I have was for 8-foot ceilings. Just in half the dome would be 8-foot ceilings. The other half would be open. So it would be, let's see, it would be 14. Oh, I had the measurement there already. It would have been 14 foot tall ceilings. And I'll show you the floor plan that I have for this dome design. And this is the layout. It would have been 804 square feet, 3 bedroom, 1 bath design. You can see you got 150 square foot of bedroom here with a closet. 96 square feet bedroom here with a closet. Another 96 square foot bedroom with a closet. You can see you got your kitchen here, 72 square foot kitchen. Your living area, 187 square feet. And you have your bathroom here and a laundry room. So I was trying to think of a good size that would work for Puerto Rico. For most when I look at the different homes out there and the sizes, I felt like this was a good size. But even this could be changed. If someone just wanted a 2-bedroom, you'd have a lot more space. Say you eliminate 1 bedroom, you can just have a lot more space. So the floor plan can be changed, but this is just to give you an idea excuse me, of a 32-foot diameter dome. And so anyway, this floor layout is for this dome design. So this floor here is where that living space would be. And I thought that was a really good design. And I really liked it because, as I mentioned, there was flooding from 10 to 11 feet in a lot of areas in Puerto Rico after that storm. So that's why I designed it so that the second floor was at least 12 feet high is where the floor would be. You have 11 feet to the bottom of the floor to the second floor. So say if you have water that came in, and let's say let's turn this off so I can make some curves here. Let's say you had some water. Let's say there was another storm, hopefully not. that was this bad and the water came in, like my water, you could still be safe inside your structure, in your home, because it's concrete. It's this shape also is perfect for areas where you have hurricanes and tornadoes. A lot of people still don't understand or know that the dome shape is a superior shape when it comes to structurally. And air just flows over it. You don't have any flat walls that the air could hit and, basically lift up like a sail. So this is what happens to most homes that are wood frame and not ready to handle hurricanes and tornadoes. So this design would be able to handle hurricane and tornadoes because it's already been proven time and time again that the dome shape is a superior shape when it comes to withstanding hurricanes and tornadoes, and also even flooding. There's a dome in Florida that if you look up on YouTube, or I'll leave a link in the description below this video, of a dome that withstands all these hurricanes for many years, where all the homes in the area were completely wiped off the face of the earth, and the person who owns the dome is the only dome standing in the area, where other people had to rebuild multiple times. So and also, if you look at some of my other videos that I did touring domes, you could get a real good idea of the size on the inside of the dome, how much space there really is. It's really awesome. It's just enough people don't know. So anyway, in this design, I don't have windows indicating. I just have the garage door, but you could imagine there would be windows around. Well, actually here, you can see there's windows, doorway here, another window there. So that's the design that I came up for the Caribbean. Again, I designed it for Puerto Rico, but obviously all of the Caribbean could use a design like this. And this airform, say someone's watching this video and would like to have a dome built. This airform to build is it's about $12,200 to have the airform made, and to build a building of this size would cost approximately, I'm just going to say it's an approximate at $60,000 to build what you see here. It actually may be a little more or less depending on the area, depending on the cost of cement. But the good thing is, using this airform technique that I would use, the structure could be built like within a week. Basically a week, you figure 2 weeks of finished concrete with Aircrete insulation structure can be built. And so that's really fast. And for $60,000, I don't think you can beat it. And if anyone's interested, you let me know, and we can make it happen, because if you look at my previous videos, have the equipment now to build domes, like the cement pump, the shotcrete spray nozzle. I have a lot of experience with Aircrete, and anyway, that's the design that I have for the Caribbean. And let's see what else I have here for designs. Last thing is, man, when did I come up with this one? Last year, 2017, I guess around November, I came up with this simple design for rocket stove. Now this is now for the Caribbean. It's plenty hot down there. They don't need a rocket stove. But this is for the rest of the world where it's cold. And I have this design I haven't built yet. You see here, these were my wood panels that I designed, and I actually cut it out already on my laser machine, where everything just snaps together, and you can form a box, and then you'd fill this with a special Aircrete mix that I have, that I made up. It's works really good for rocket stoves. I mean, like, it really increases the efficiency of a rocket stove tremendously. And so here I was just working out all the measurements based on other videos I've seen of people designing rocket stoves. And actually, the idea has evolved from this. I made this design so that anyone could make a rocket stove like with great ease. And I'll be making a video. I'll be making a video sometime in the future where you can see me actually make the rocket stove, and you actually see the rocket stove in action. And I have obviously a temperature gauge and a thermal imaging camera that will show the heat and where the heat is and where it isn't, and exactly how hot this chamber will get. And so anyway, this was another design that I worked on in 2017. I think it was around November, and it's almost a year now, so I need to get this one made, and I plan on making it pretty soon. And again, this is a really the idea is to make it so simple where, I'll have these forms made already where you could either cut your own panels out into the design that I have, or you could just purchase everything pre-cut and it'll be in a nice slim package, and you just assemble it and you fill with Aircrete, and with a special Aircrete mix that I would send you everything you need to make it. And anyway, it's a really cool design. But I have a lot of different designs that I've worked on for different things here, and I just wanted to share some of these because I don't really get to share too many of my ideas. And what I realized is it's good to share the ideas so that you can inspire someone else to not only build their own, but to know, hey, there's something coming down the pipe where it can really benefit, humanity. And so I'm planning on start to share some of the ideas. In the past, I was always worried about someone stealing my ideas and stuff like this, but it's really nonsense, because what I realized is there are some ideas that I have not seen anyone else make yet. And if I don't make them, then they might not come out, and humanity is not going to benefit from it. So we all have something to contribute to help our fellow brothers and sisters on this planet. And so I guess this is another way of me helping and sharing ideas, just like I do with all my Aircrete experiments and different designs. So anyway, that's it for now, everyone. Peace out. I love you all, and I'll catch you later.